coming and joining the city of Somerville to commemorate Transgender Day of Remembrance. My name is Jack Greener, and I'm the city of Somerville's LGBTQ liaison. Transgender Day of Remembrance is a day to remember and mourn those lost to anti-trans violence, and to gather to rededicate ourselves to the fight for the progress needed so that all people, regardless of their gender identity, are able to live free from hate and discrimination. No person should fear for their safety, consider taking their own life, or feel isolated or alienated due to their gender identity. Throughout my work, I've met and heard from countless people in Somerville who are deeply committed to making Somerville a better place for trans and non-binary people. I've met teachers in the Somerville public schools who go out of their way to support their trans and queer students, LGBTQ artists who use their art to grow and question society's understanding of gender, and social and healthcare workers committed to making their field more inclusive for people of all gender identities. I have been inspired by this passion and leadership, but it does remind me of all of the work still to be done to make Somerville, this country, and beyond more accepting and loving of transgender people. I am now honored to welcome Mayor Matisse.
Good afternoon. Don't worry, that's the mobile heating unit for City Hall since this building. Nothing bad's going to happen, I hope. Thank you for coming out today. I know it's cool and crisp, but it is important that we be warm in our purpose to advocate for equity, for compassion, for human decency. First, please join me in thanking Jack Trainer for his leadership here in the city of Somerville. I also want to thank Nancy Bocci and Doug Kress at Health and Human Services for your work. Karen Reynolds and Veronica G from my office as well. I'm joined here by we are joined by so many people who advocate and champions for equity and justice in our community. Some are on here, and I want to make sure we remember them, but I do want to thank some colleagues in government who fight every day for those whose voices we do not listen to enough. From the City Council at large, Ms. Kristen Strezzo, representing our state delegation, State Representative Ms. Christine Barber. And if I missed them, I apologize. The sun's in my eyes. I understand. Our newly elected members of the City Council, Jake Wilson is here along with Judy Bennett, our Neufeld, if they're here. Thank you, because I know they're champions. Anybody else I missed, I apologize. I just can't see well. Thank you all again for being here today as we once again mark Transgender Day of Remembrance. Is Charlotte here? I can't. Yeah. Oh, the polls on Charlotte Kelly. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Charlotte. Again, thanks for all being here. Again, we once again mark Transgender Day of Remembrance, which was November 20th. A special thank you for all of you who have advocated and have been activists in this community, especially Somerville High School's GSAA, for organizing today's event. True champions and leaders in our community. Let's give them a round of applause. It's important to say the least, that we hold this ceremony each year, but it's one I wish we didn't have to. Much like the domestic violence vigil. Until violence against trans people stops, we have to keep speaking up and acting out. We owe it to those who were killed simply for being themselves to speak out against hatred and bigotry, which is sadly still very much prevalent in every community, in every institution. We cannot be complicit. We cannot abdicate our responsibility to lead on this. In the last year, a record 47 transgender people were killed in the United States. And sadly, we know that number is probably higher, as many crimes against trans people are misreported. Even in death, trans people are denied the basic dignity of being recognized just as who they are. In Massachusetts, gender identity and expression are included in our anti-discrimination laws. It was an important step to take, but we do have to very clearly acknowledge that laws do not end discrimination or violence. Among those who we mourn this year is Yahaira Dealto, a trans woman of color who was stabbed in Dorchester. Ms. Dealto was an advocate for transgender rights and for survivors of domestic and sexual violence. She was also active at the ballroom scene and founded Berkshire Transgender Day of Remembrance and the Berkshire Pride Festival. Sadly, it can and does happen here. Somerville and the greater Boston region takes pride in being a welcoming, inclusive area. But there is still work that needs to be done beyond raising a flag or a banner or being explicit with a narrative. We have to all own this work. And again, all of us can be part and must be part of that work. That may mean having some uncomfortable and humbling conversation with friends or family members who make jokes at the expense of transgender people, or who complain about feeling comfortable expressing their gender, or just about our own individual prejudices and problematic beliefs, much what we were taught growing up. That may mean calling out policies that further marginalize trans people, and that definitely means listening to transgender people when they speak up about the types of support they need and about what we should be doing more. As we mark Transgender Day of Remembrance this year, it's my last officially as the mayor of Somerville, but I will be here as a resident because, like you, I love this community and what it stands for. We need to all fight for those values every day. Let's reflect on all that's been lost. The people, the humanity, their potential, and the role they played in our lives and our communities. It is crucial and vital that we acknowledge that violence against trans people remains a problem and that we all have a role and responsibility in ending it. Thank you again, not just for being here and taking part in this important remembrance, but for all your leadership and advocacy. Proud to be part of this city. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mayor Kirshner. On this day of the mayor's final Transgender Day of Remembrance as mayor, it is amazing to reflect on how much has changed since the mayor first took office for the LGBTQ+ community. And I would just like to thank you for your leadership in making Somerville a more accepting and inclusive place. I am now pleased to introduce Matisse Dupont. Matisse uses she and they pronouns, is an artist, educator, activist, and consultant with a wealth of experience and scholarship in the areas of gender, sexuality, and identity. They hold a master's in gender and cultural studies from Simmons University and offer individual and institutional gender consultation services and inclusivity consulting and cultural competency training concerning transgender, non-binary, gender non-conforming individuals in the LGBTQI+ community. Beyond this, they are multidisciplinary artists who most recently directed and produced the genderqueer Shakespeare production of A Midsummer's Night Dream in Powderhouse Park in partnership with Somerville Parks and Recreation Department. A voraciously curious and creative person, Matisse engenders playful artistry and shared knowledge in every person and project they encounter. Somerville is deeply lucky to have individuals like Matisse who use art, conversation, and compassion to increase LGBTQI+ awareness and understanding in our city. Please welcome.
Hi there, everyone. How's it going?
Good.
It's really pleasant, warm day today. Just telling you something, right? So I want to say thank you all again for coming to commemorate all the trans lives that we've lost, both this year and in the past. This year, as we've already mentioned, has got the record-breaking number of transgender people murdered, which is devastating. And it's one of those things where every year is a record-setting year, and it just hits me in the heart every time I hear that. This year is a record-setting number of 47, and it just breaks my heart every single time. This last couple of years, I've been working a lot with the Transgender Emergency Fund, which is an amazing organization here in Massachusetts. I want to shout them out. They are incredible. And I want to take a leaf out of the executive director, Chastity Bowick's page, and highlight the idea that when we're remembering people, it's really important that we can learn lessons from it. We can improve, we can change, and we can give the people who are alive today our roses to highlight and celebrate the people who are here, who are surviving before we have to be just another statistic or to be remembered. And I want to, before I continue, I want to highlight that once again that this epidemic really is hitting Black and Latinx and people of color because of the really specific intersection of misogyny, transphobia, and racism in our society. And we really need to be uplifting these voices, and that's why I really want to shout out the Trans Emergency Fund, because they're really doing that work. So if you haven't looked into them, I really highly recommend that you do. They do great work. And in the theme of sort of giving us our roses and making the world a better place for us here and now, I wanted to give a couple suggestions for how to make the world a better place for trans people today. Once again, before we have to be remembered. So a couple of things. I think it's really important that we're starting to look to the younger generations. I think I remember, according to GLAAD, about 50% of the kids identify in some way, shape, or form as LGBTQ. That's a lot. And also recently, according to another publication, about 25% of them identify in some way as non-binary, which is part of the trans community. That's a lot of people, young people. And so I think one thing that we need to be doing is creating programming to let them explore themselves. And we need to be educating our teachers, and I think also importantly, we need to be educating our parents. Because, you know, a lot of people, you know, we've been grown up and we've been taught a lot of really specific things about what it means to be a person and how you're supposed to be, right? And in order to give space for young people who are brave enough and courageous enough and creative enough to see beyond the shoulds and should nots, we need to be also creating space to educate the people who are around them as well, and creating space. I think another thing that's really crucial and important is that this isn't just about making the world a better place for trans people directly. I mean, we have to do those things. You all are doing a really amazing job here in Somerville. It's kind of the transberhood of Boston, if you didn't know that. You can't really quite go anywhere without seeing a trans person, which is really iconic in my opinion. But I think one thing, you know, a next step for a place that's already quite progressive, I want to encourage everyone who is maybe cisgender to start questioning your own relationship to gender. This is not just about trans people, but when you start thinking about your relationship to what is your definition of gender? Is it about assigned sex? Is it about gender roles? Is it about masculinity and femininity? How do you feel about that? You're questioning that, and your ability to engage in these systems and structures and to understand your own position in it, understand whether or not you like it, explore and play, these are going to have implicit, incredible repercussions that make the world better for trans people. I'm going to ask all of you right now, can you please take one moment and think, what is something that you were told you were not allowed to do, or something that you were supposed to do given your gender assignment? Everyone take 1 second, who's blowing, think to yourself. I'm sure you thought of a lot of things that you were supposed to do, or that you were not allowed to do because of your gender assignment, right? It's important to remember that for trans and non-binary people, we are, you know, finding ways to not have to be what we've been told we have to be, to explore and expand what it means to be a person, to be a human being, to question the norms of our society. And we're so lucky to live in a time and a place where we're able to do that. And it's really important that it's not just about creating a safety for us, but it's about also making sure everyone is expanding their notion of their own relationship to gender and how they understand it. That's going to create more safety. That's going to create less violence when people aren't confused or scared or don't understand it. So, once again, I want to highlight the fact that it's important that we're creating a safer world for those of us who are still here, before more people are just another statistic on the GLAAD report every year, right? Once again, I want to say thank you all for coming to Transgender Day of Remembrance, where it's so important to look back, to understand all the people who have fought before us, those who have passed, the people who have been taken from us before it was their time. And yeah, thanks for commemorating this. And once again, I look forward to a world where everyone is free to express themselves as they'd like. Thank you.
As the mayor and Matisse mentioned, this year is a deadliest year in record for transgender Americans. At least 47 transgender individuals in this country and hundreds more around the world were killed in a horrifying act of violence. I am now going to read the names of these victims. This list cannot be understood in exclusion of the other hatreds and prejudices that pervade our society. 9 out of 10 of the trans people murdered in the U.S. were people of color. 9 out of 10 of them were trans women or trans feminists. Racism, misogyny, our ability to care so little for the vulnerable, for the homeless, for sex workers, for immigrants, for the incarcerated all contribute to the prevalence of anti-trans violence. This list of names does not capture the vibrancy of life, the dreams and aspirations cut short, and the pain and loss felt by the friends and family members of these victims. This list is incomplete in so many other ways. It only includes transgender and gender non-conforming people killed in the United States, leaving out hundreds of others killed across the globe. It does not include those that have taken their own lives due to anti-transgender harassment and discrimination. It does not include those that continue to fear for their safety, those that feel isolated and alone due to their gender identity, those that are unable to access gender-affirming healthcare, and those who never feel safe to openly live as a transgender person. With this in mind, Aisha Danae Foster, 22, Che Mashia Sims, 30, Kimberly Fial, 55, Jaheem Hugh, 19, Courtney Deshay T, 25, Alexandria Winchester, 24, Tayana Alexander, 28, Samuel Edmund Damian Valentine, 21, Bianca Muffin Banks, 30, Dominique Jackson, 30, 50 Van, 21, Alexis Braxton, also known as Kimmy Icon Braxton, 45, China Carrillo, 25, siblings Jeffrey J.J. White, 16, and Jasmine Canady, 22, Jenna Frank, 34, Diamond Reed Anders, 23, Brianna Pardo, 26, Data Peterson, 29, Remy Fennell, 20, Yura Banks, 24, Natalia Mudd, 24, Iris Santos, 22, Tiffany Thomas, 38, Terry Washington, 49, Nevaria De Alto, 42, Whispering Wind, Bear Spirit, 41, Sophie Vasquez, 36, Donica Danny Hansen, 31, Serenity Hollis, 24, Oliver Ollie Taylor, 17, Thomas Hart, 35, Bo Black, 21, EJ Boykin, 23, Adolyn Evans, 24, Leah Ashton, 20, Shai Vanderpump, 23, Kiera Marie Lewis, 36, Miss Coco, 44, Boo Johnson, 25, Josiah Monet, 32, Brianna Hamilton, 25, Marie Leslie Cartier, 21, Mel Grove, 25, Royal Poetical Stars, 26, Zoella Zoe Rose Martinez, 20, Jesse Hart, 42, Ricky Otoro, AJ True Scarlett, 39, Marquisha Lawrence, 28, Jenny De Leon, 25, Angel Nura, 36. Please join me now in a moment of silence. I would now like to invite everyone here